that we hear about today, none of them, Isna, Inkna, Mad, you can name any of them, none of them were engaged in America. Not a single one of them. In fact, Imam Muhammad started true interfaith relations in Washington, D.C., where the nation's mosque is, in the 70s. And none of them wanted to touch it. We started an organization in 1978 in Washington, D.C. They said it's the first one of that type across America. There were 4 organizations. We were the only Muslim organization. The other ones were approached, but they did not want to be involved with that. In terms of, it's interfaith now. Not even talking about the engaging and embracing your identity as an American. And so Imam Muhammad, he's called America's Imam. He's the first Imam that can embrace. And now today, of course, with 9/11 hitting, a lot of them are now looking at his strategy for embracing our life, and all of them now are embracing our identity. So that's in terms of progression of African American, Muslim American.
So, for the sake of time, two more questions, 2 more thoughts that you can answer for us. What is the Quran's position on homosexuality?
Well, the Quran's position on homosexuality, it's in the Quran. It says you transgress all bounds. That's a sin. It goes against the nature that God has created life upon. But it has the position. But when we see, obviously, the story, the Quran, most don't know this, but almost 100% of the prophets in the Jewish book and in the Christian book, those prophets and those stories are in the Quran. Almost 100%. So I'm saying that to say even the story of Lot and his time, and when that kind of thing was going on, that story is in there. But what the story shows us is that we are not to, human beings, and some Muslims have a problem, we can say what I'm going to say right now, we are not to hurt anybody who chooses that lifestyle. It showed that God did the punishment. Man didn't do anything. And in fact, Lot and even Abraham, they just tried to reason with them to look at the nature that God gave them. You see, because it's about progressing life. God created everything in pairs. You got one right shoe and a left shoe. 2 right probably will hurt your feet unless you have the deformity. So in a state of nature. But God says that everybody, the way He created the human beings, we don't have to obey the nature that He created us upon. We can go against it. We are human. We got limited free will. And we have to respect that. Muslims are to respect the choices that people make for their own life. Okay? That's the point I want to make, that some Muslims will have an extreme view and they would disagree with what I'm just saying right now. But God doesn't make you do anything. You see?
My last question